My name is Annalie Thorstad, and I'm a lifelong paddler. I love to paddle everything, and I am from a very small town in northwestern Ontario in Canada called Atikokan. It's a little town that prides itself on being the canoe capital of Canada, and it's also the gateway to Quetico Provincial Park, which is just north of the Boundary Waters area. And it's where I met my husband. And together we have Boundary Waters Coaching and Conditioning, which is now a small learning rehab, paddle and boat repair facility on the Black River, just outside of Georgetown, South Carolina. And in addition to our Nordic theme that we like to run in our business, as you can see by our logo, it pays homage to our Scandic roots. And we're known for our belief in something called sisu, which is really an important element of Finnish culture that describes a mindset that requires extraordinary determination and courage, especially in the face of extreme adversities. It's a mindset that requires you face your fears, even leaning into them to reach beyond what you or anyone else believes you are capable of. And it's that concept of sisu that I would like to move you a little closer to tonight. And I'd like to begin with the feeling of pressure, which is a key element in our expression of fear. And normally, when we think of pressure in Dragon Boat, we think of the high level competition. Because as competitors, coaches, paddlers at elite levels, we know all too well the anxious drive to compete at nationals and the desire for rushes of adrenaline as we expend everything we've got to win a berth, to eat right, train right, do all the camps, purchase all the best equipment, the frayed nerves and excitement that comes with performing at the world stage with all eyes on us, especially as steers. Steers need to keep starts just right with the chin of the dragon balanced in the cup, cutting a good line and driving the crew to maneuver flawlessly through the turns. And when you're a steers, everyone is counting on you. Then add to that the pressure we feel as survivors. We don't want to let our team down, feeling our drive to return to this level of competition quickly, sometimes through litanies of surgeries and treatments. We want to return to that podium just like we were before. And it's no wonder our securities kick in and we can't help but ask ourselves, can we even do it? Can I even return again this time? But it is also really important to remember that long before any of us became festival or elite level paddlers, we were all once that new paddler had to overcome our own insecurities to walk up to a bunch of people we didn't even know, not knowing what was expected of us or if we would be accepted, and not knowing what on earth it was we were really getting ourselves into. The doctors tell you that fitness is important, and it is, but you can't help but worry. You worry that you won't be able to keep up or keep going. And if your body can even rise to meet your level of desire for the camaraderie and support that you're really there for. Somehow all of us manage to find the bravery and make that commitment. But a lot of us also experienced having to feel that anxiety each week until we learn not to splash all the people around us or clack paddles. And as we progress, there comes a time where we find ourselves wishing we had the nerves to ask our coach if we could try maybe new spots in the boat. Maybe with dreams of sitting up his drum as a pacer in seat one, or even wishing you had the guts to learn to steer or eventually coach too. It can be easy to get caught up in our fears about performance, ability, and even our acceptance and belonging on the team, which is why encouraging each other is an essential task that none of us at any level can afford to overlook. Assisting others to lean in and acknowledge their fears of failing in a positive way is the critical element shared by sports performance and throughout the healing process. But what if I told you, so that you could tell others, that the real secret, the real truth about failing is that you literally cannot fail? Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. I say this because what we all do is learn from our mistakes, and there is absolutely no one that is so perfect that they never do anything wrong. Allowing ourselves the opportunity to learn from our failures is important. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be your own failures that you grow from. Learning also happens from the failures of the people not only around you, but who went before you too. Be proud of your mistakes. Accept that this is a normal human experience, and I even dare you to embrace those feelings. Work to change those negative thoughts into positive self talk because, particularly in athletics, mistakes are exactly what helps us gain the knowledge and experiences that we have to help us perform better. Every single successful and confident paddler, drummer, steer, or coach will tell you that without some failures along the way, big and small, they just wouldn't have risen to the skill level that they have today. The bottom line is you have to be brave enough to put yourself out there and encourage others to do the same. Try a new start, a new position in the boat. Go to camp by yourself. Give yourself the permission and grace to not just be perfect this time, but fail towards your goals. Daring to fail is exactly what you need in athletics for success. Failures trigger creativity and enables us to think outside the box. It's really the mother of invention. Mistakes and errors make us resilient. We can understand the adversity and overcoming challenges, and in turn, failures teaches us humanity and just makes us a better human. Being able to share our own experience of failures and encouraging and listening to others with empathy and sincerity is the very foundation of what makes us a good coach or a good leader on our team. Every failure produces references, and failure allows us to push our limits beyond the limits as we know them right now. Then inspire others to be and do better for themselves. So, our mission then as coaches is simple. And not only coaches, but leaders or longtime paddlers or members of our club. We need to take the time to hear and acknowledge the fears of those around us. We need to watch for opportunities for growth, to guide other paddlers out of their comfort zones and provide a safe space where it's okay to test our fears of failing. We need to be sure to reward those moments when others are courageous enough to fail. And in those moments, give them the tools to overcome what they perceive as potential failures. I want to leave you tonight with 3 different exercises that you can take to your teammates, to your coaches, to each other. And the first of which is a 4-7-8 breathing exercise. It's a really simple and useful tool for achieving a relaxed mental state that can be done anywhere and takes almost no time. You can do it sitting or standing or lying down, however you need to, but just make sure that your back remains straight through the whole exercise. Or if you're sitting in a chair, make sure that your back remains tall. You're going to begin by lightly pushing the tip of your tongue just at the gum line behind your front teeth. And keep it there throughout the whole of the exercise. Then begin by exhaling through your mouth, around your tongue, and making a whoosh sound. Leave your tongue in place, close your mouth, and inhale in a quiet manner through your nose for a mental count of 4. Hold your breath for a count of 7 before exhaling completely through your mouth again for a count of 8. Finally, you're going to inhale and repeat that cycle again, no more than 3 more times. Okay. So we can try it together. So you're going to expend all of your air, put your tongue behind your front teeth right at the gum line, and you're going to breathe in through your nose, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it's okay if you feel a little lightheaded. That's perfectly normal for the first few times that you try it. A second technique that I'd like to show you is PMR, which is progressive muscle relaxation. It's a therapeutic technique whose goal is to relax the mind and the body. It uses progressive muscle group tightening from your toes to the top of your head and relaxation in that specific pattern, bottom to top, to understand what the tension feels like in your body and where it is. Research has actually found that it can reduce tension, improve systolic blood pressure, decrease the frequency of migraine, and is even beneficial for sleep. So we're going to begin. You lay down or sit. I prefer to lay on this one. You just want to make sure that you're in a comfortable position that really allows you to relax your whole body. You will take 5 deep, slow belly breaths, diaphragmatic breathing, in through the nose and out through the mouth before lifting your toes upward and holding for 5 seconds. Then you're going to relax your toes for 10 to 20 seconds, breathing out, return to normal breathing before moving up your body by tensing your calf muscles. Then you're going to go up one step at a time through your knees, thigh muscles, buttocks, abdominals, chest, shoulders, arms, opening your mouth really wide or closing your eyes really tight, and even lifting your eyebrows. Just make sure you relax each section before moving on to the next. 5 deep, slow breaths. You're going to tighten up 5 seconds and then relax 10 to 20. The exact progression is not as important as working from that bottom to the top. The third technique is one of the most powerful techniques that we can use. The visualization technique is used to guide our athletes, to guide ourselves through controlled imagery to create an experience that imitates a real life experience, such as a start or a time trial, or even a whole race plan start to finish. Through the use of consistent visualization processes, research has shown that we can not only improve the performance of ourselves and our paddlers, but reduce the individual performance anxiety and fear of failing substantially that we might feel. It's important to note that we must gather as much detail as possible, including those that engage the senses, such as sights, feelings, sounds, and even considering the who, what, where, when, and why of the imagery. It's important to ensure that visualization is as descriptive and meaningful as possible to the paddler. You have to be sure to include exact instructions or the exact performance, the best performance you could possibly imagine for yourself. I do have a handout that I can provide you. You can email me at boundarywaterspaddlesports@gmail.com, and I will send you an imagery script that will help you the first few times create your own imagery for yourself or for your paddlers. So let's take a look at how you would put all of this together and use these techniques to help yourself or other paddlers in your club. A couple of years ago, one of my clients reached out to me because they were having a hard time reaching a really promising new paddler. And no matter how everyone tried to support her or how strong her performance during practice was, she would consistently back out right before races every single time. And being from a small club, it was a real issue as they needed everybody they could to get a full team to even compete. I'm sure there's some of you out there that could definitely relate. And the last time they went to a race, Jackie even made it so far as to attend the practice at the venue. But come festival day, she was in the bathroom of the Airbnb with the door locked, telling her teammates to just go ahead. And as a coach, forget balancing the boat. The whole team had to scramble in the morning to try and find someone else to fill in the boat prior to marshaling the morning of race day. But we came up with a plan. Coach would pull Jackie aside after the next practice and begin teaching her how to use the 4-7-8 breathing technique so she could learn to center herself and relax her body as she slowed down her breathing. Next, while at home or before racing, while she's in this relaxed state, her and coach instructed her to do progressive muscle relaxation bottom to top. She would then ask Jackie to physically go through this routine nightly for a couple of weeks and check back in to see how it was going. Her coach even made sure to suggest to her that the breathing technique on its own could also be done before doctor's appointments or at night if she had trouble sleeping before bed or watching TV. Also instructed Jackie's coach to turn her attention to the introduction of visualization for the whole team. So on race prep days and including race days, coach was to ask them to huddle up and walk them through the most detailed visualization step by step, including as much visual and auditory and sensory information she could to form a clear image of the very best race they could ever perform. This particular coach decided to start right in the tent, imagining themselves in their jersey, hearing the chatter of the crew around them, and the distant sound of the announcer calling their team to marshalling, gathering their gear, taking that last sip of cool water, and feeling the weight of the paddle in their hands. She took them through marshalling, loading the boat, the feeling of pushing off from the dock, and the steer's voice calling their strokes up to the start line. Then she took them through each portion of the race plan, visualizing the very best, strongest race they can, coming in strong across the finish line, spent and sitting tall to breathe air into their lungs and get control again of their breathing, helping not only Jackie, but strengthening the team through this practice as a team. Coach did find that Jackie needed an extra step in the process, however, and to help her on race day, she asked that when Jackie go to marshalling, when she was standing in line and waiting to load the boat, that she do her deep breathing technique again, and this time imagine herself feeling calm and confident as she breathes in and out. This point in the visualization is important for Jackie as it will be her cue to remind herself to remain relaxed and focused during the race. I am happy to report that Jackie not only made it to the next race, but her performance has continued to improve in competition, and her coach reports that Jackie is having so much fun at competitions now that she just may make it to every single race this year, including Pattaya. I would like to leave you with two book selections for those of you like me who love books and like to know a little bit more on the topics that I'm learning about. So the first one is The Psychology of Winning, and it is an older book. It's by the author of Who Moved My Cheese. If you took business classes in the 90s, I'm pretty sure that you've at least heard of Who Moved My Cheese. Um, and this book is important because it literally was not until the 1984 Olympic Games that the first use of visualization was applied to modern athletics. It was used by Russian athletes who utilized visualization techniques and then actually experienced quite significant and positive impacts on their measured biological outcomes and overall performance. And it wasn't until 1986 when this book was published that it really became popularized in their levels of athletic achievement. Today, it is commonly used in youth league sports worldwide, and it's finding acceptance from neuroscientists and sports psychologists who find that the addition of this subjective training causes the body to be much more responsive and achieve more desired athletic outcomes. That includes overcoming the fear of failure. The second book is one of my favorites. This author also created the mental management system. Some of you may be familiar with that. He is an Olympian and two-time world champion. And in this book, he discusses why competitors should always be wary of the people no one wants on their team. The ones that are too small, too slow, too scared, too new, not very capable, just like he was. He believes that the unwanted and fearful have a built-in motivation to do whatever it takes to succeed that those who tend to be picked first just don't have. That they have an innate drive, and when they find the courage to overcome their fears and limitations, they become champions. This is arguably one of the most authoritative books available on mental training for sports and life in general. It tells the story of Lanny as a competitor who understands the feeling of failing and describes beautifully how we can all overcome our insecurities and pressures in our life. I want to thank you very much for asking me to speak to you. I had to overcome a fear or two of my own to present this to you. But as Thomas Edison wisely stated, if I've tried, I've not failed. I've merely found another 10,000 ways that won't work. And I hope this presentation at least sparked the idea of how failing can be used for positive gains. The only real mistake is the one we learn nothing from. So go ahead and try something new and have the courage and encourage others to be brave enough to succeed. Add some sisu and remember, you truly cannot fail because our failures represent the very missing pieces to our performance puzzle. And lastly, I do have some reference material. I would highly recommend that you use Google Scholar when you're looking to search topics, or if you want to know more about this or anything else you've heard. Just type in Google Scholar in your Google search bar. It'll come up, make sure you click on it, and you'll make sure that you have peer-reviewed material. It will help you uh, eliminate some of the garbage on the internet and help you focus in on what it is that you're looking for, especially when it comes to sports performance. So here I have exploring the relationship between mental toughness and self-compassion in the context of sport injury. This is a really great article. Then I have the 478 breathing technique. There's a video there for you. And also I included some research on the progressive muscle relaxation and how it decreases anxiety. It's a really great article if you have a moment. I would also like to leave you with some educational suggestions. The first being the Cancer Exercise Training Institute. You can find them online. They have courses for beginners through advanced, and you can obtain a cancer exercise specialist certification that covers all cancers. And these courses are not just for coaches. If you're a paddler and this is something that you're interested in, it is something that you can definitely bring and share with your team. I would highly recommend them. The second would be Adaptive Expedition. It's out of Charleston, South Carolina. They offer an online bundle of courses that doesn't come with a certification, but for $25, it's an excellent little bundle. We're also having them come here and present an ACA instructor course for both para and their communications one. It's May 24th to 27th. If you're interested, please let me know. Lastly, I have a couple questions that were asked of me in the chat. One being on how I felt about erg training for dragon boat. And it really depends on if there's a paddle adapter or specifically made for paddling erg for specific sport effectiveness. And it will most certainly increase general fitness, but for dragon boat, it will not increase your technique. Research shows that most similar and effective cross-training activities actually are swimming and cross-country skiing. And my personal advice would be, yes, absolutely. If an erg is what you love and you enjoy doing it, then absolutely, please get on it and do that. The best exercise is one that you really enjoy. And my personal advice would be to lift and push heavy things. One leg RDLs, bench press, box squats, any of those type of exercises. If you would like any suggestions, again, don't hesitate to email me. And I would also like to leave you with an article that I found really interesting and really informative on the biomechanical analysis of dragon boat paddling. It's a comparison of elite and sub-elite paddlers. Very interesting. So again, use your Google Scholar and you can find this article there. Another question from the chat was on hydration. And hydration is not something that you can cheat or cram. There's one too many times where I hear paddlers say, well, I better get drinking the night before because it's going to be hot and the race weekend's long. I better get drinking. You really do have to stay hydrated. It's not something that you can cheat. And a good rule of thumb is to shoot for drinking about 50% of your body weight in fluid ounces most days. And that's true for most people. And don't forget electrolytes. They're really important. Try different products to find one that agrees with you. I know some paddlers say this one or that one really upsets their stomach. Try a few. There's Liquid IV, Drip Drop, Pedialyte Sports tends to be really great for people who have issues with their stomach and having an upset stomach during racing. And if you're taking medications that don't allow you to take any kind of electrolytes, make sure that you speak with your doctor to discuss alternative ways to stay hydrated in sport. On the day of, have lots of foods, moist foods like watermelon or oranges, those types of things to really make sure that you're getting as much hydration as you can. And again, I love my articles. I have another article here on hydration and sports drinks that you might find very interesting. Again, use your Google Scholar to find it.